Top U.S. general in Afghanistan has revealed the hospital was mistakenly struck. We'll share that story. Presidential candidate Marco Rubio joins us in about 25 minutes from now. Hillary Clinton has revealed her aggressive gun control plan, which is the exact opposite of what she said in 2008, but who even checks flip-flopping anymore? And an amazing story about what we did to the Ten Commandments in the middle of the night in Oklahoma for public safety. And a story that I don't think you've heard from Detroit. Did you know that they just dedicated a big statue to Satan in Detroit? Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. It's only from a crazy right-wing conspiratorial website called Time.com. We're going to start there right now. All we want is love.
What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
A little before midnight on Saturday, a crowd of about 700 people gathered in an old industrial warehouse just a few blocks away from the Detroit River for what they had been told was the largest public satanic ceremony in history. Most of them professed to be adherents to Satanism, loosely organized squad of the occult that defines itself as a religious group. Others came simply because they were curious. After all, Satanists exist in the popular psyche as those who casually sacrifice goats and impregnate me and Pharaoh and try to give birth to Lucifer's child. Who knew what could be in store? 700 people showed up. Time magazine reports the reality of the event and the contemporary satanic movement at large was tamer. Oh. Thank you, Time magazine. Probably nothing to worry about here. If the Facebook pictures speak the truth, harmlessly festive, the festival for Satan, harmlessly festive, a cross between an underground rave and a meticulously planned Halloween party, according to Time magazine. They wanted to unveil the colossal bronze statue of Baphomet, the goat-headed wraith, who after centuries of various apparitions is now the totem of contemporary Satanism. The pentagram, the familiar logo of both Orthodox Satanists and disaffected teens, originated as a rough outline of its head. The statue itself, according to Time magazine, is impressive, almost 9 feet tall, weighing in at about a ton. The horned idol now sits on a throne adorned with a pentagram. But it's the idol's wings and not his chair that curiously evoke the Iron Throne, from which certain celebrated HBO fantasy series sparks from. He has jarring horns of a virile ram, but the biceps of a guy who lifts 4 or 5 times a week. His legs, which are not cross, and not in feet, but in hooves. It might seem more menacing if not for the 2 bronze statues of children standing on either side of him, a girl on his left, a boy on his right, both looking up at him earnestly. He contains the binary element symbolizing the reconciliation of opposites, emblematic of the willingness to embrace and even celebrate our differences. Let me read that again. The new 9-foot statue dedicated to Lucifer contains the binary elements symbolizing a reconciliation of opposites, emblematic of the willingness to embrace and celebrate our differences. In a sense, it's a statue which is a stress test of the American plurality. At what point does religious freedom make people uncomfortable? Apparently, not this one. Apparently, Time magazine can publish this And apparently it's no big deal. At the same time this is going on, construction crews needed a special lighting as they removed the Ten Commandments monument from the Oklahoma Capitol grounds in the dark on Monday. We wanted it to be done quickly and as efficiently as possible, and doing it at night gave us the best opportunity to do that. Highway Patrol was also very concerned that having it removed in the middle of the day could lead to having demonstrations of some kind. So let me just see if I have this straight. We can abort children in the sterile light of a surgical center at Planned Parenthood. We can stand in the noonday sun and declare our support for the Islamic extremists and psychopaths in Iran. During the middle of the day, we can pledge our support for death. In the middle of the day, we can build and put a statue of Lucifer right off of the Detroit River. But we need to remove God's commandments in the middle of the night. This is not my place to issue a warning. But I guess in some ways it is, because we all have a responsibility to warn wherever it is we stand. We can kill babies. We can stand against Israel. We can embrace the killers in the Middle East. We can ignore the cries of the Christians and the Jews and the gays that are being slaughtered by people we are arming. We can build statues to Lucifer on our own land. We can ignore the cries of the Christians, not overseas, but in Oregon. Remember, the killer last week on his manifesto had scratched in 666. He talked about his love for Satan. Let me warn you, we are not fighting against flesh and bone. If you think in your small world, which I did for a very long time in my small mind, I thought this was about politics. I thought this was about getting a Republican elected or a Democrat elected or a Tea Party person elected or getting this person out of office or this person into office. I was wrong. We are not fighting flesh and bone. There is darkness. I go to bed every night and I wonder how much longer you'll allow me to do this job. I beg for guidance on how to do this job, and I don't know how. I talked to one of the biggest radio syndicators in the country. Yesterday we had lunch. He's a good dear friend of mine. And we were talking about this show, and I said, it's the worst radio show in America. And he said, actually, yeah, it is. It's not, but it is. Because we break every single rule. We're not doing a radio show. We're coming to you as people every day and just telling you what's on our mind. And we're not telling you what's on our mind to garner ratings. We're not doing it to make money. We're doing it because we believe in something, and what we believe in is different. It's different than what even in some ways I believed 5 years ago. I knew we would get to this point. I hoped we wouldn't. Somebody wrote to me on Facebook this week and said, I can't listen to you anymore. I can't read your posts anymore because I thought you were about the Constitution and I thought you were about politics and you have a lot to say about politics, but you just keep talking about all this other stuff. I told them in a very kind way, they should go find another show. They should go find, Mark Levin is really good. Really, really good. He gets it. If you're looking for a political show, there's a lot of shows that are really, really good. And I would ask that maybe someday we could meet back someplace and join. But I'm telling you right now, you're not going to put the Constitution back together. You're not going to put this genie back into the bottle without being a people that understand that we have violated the fundamental principles that this country was based on. The reason why we came over here in the first place. The reason why this is a sacred land. The reason why we're not a unique people. This is a unique place. Do you really think that it's a coincidence that we had candlelight and fire to cook our foods and read our books since the beginning of time? All we had was fire. And within 100 years of this nation being founded, all of a sudden we have computers, we have satellites, we have things we can see each other and listen to each other on the other side of the globe. Really, that was a coincidence. We were given gifts and abilities to do things because we worshiped God, because we were good to one another. Because we lived by a certain rule that was eternal. We have gone from that to a nation where one party has denied God. Think of the irony. Think of how clear it is, America. We denied God 3 times. Does that sound familiar to anybody? We denied him 3 times during the Democratic election. We had so clear that those are babies that we're killing. It's so clear that the Islamic State is evil. They repress women. They stone them to death. They stone homosexuals to death. They'll crucify you for talking and sharing the gospel of Jesus. You don't have to believe in the gospel of Jesus. Do you think you should be arrested, stoned, or crucified because you say, hey, I love Jesus? Because, hey, I want to go to a different church. I want to leave this mosque. You should be killed? Here's my warning to you. And I have said this before, but I want you to listen carefully because we are crossing all kinds of lines. And it is only going to happen faster. What you have experienced in the last 10 years is not going to be the speed of the next 10 years. We are crossing lines at an extraordinary rate. And at some point, the center does not hold. And there is a fundamental transformation. Now, maybe we have already passed that, but I am warning you, please listen to me. Unless you stop what you're doing right now and turn the other direction, unless you plant your flag right now and say, I don't care what the rest of the world says. I don't care what the country says. I don't care what is popular. I am not going down that road. In fact, I am turning around and I am walking the other direction. I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care if I lose my family. I don't care if I lose my reputation. I don't care if I lose my life. I will walk the other direction. It's not enough to stand anymore and say, I won't walk any further. You must walk the other direction. We've already passed too many lines. And here's my warning. I warn you, America. You will be the darkest nation to ever ever exist on this planet. Evil will not destroy us. It will pervert us. It will use the technology and the strength that we have. It will use us for dark purposes. In the end, we will beg the Lord above to destroy us. We will beg for destruction to stop the evil that we will bring to this earth. We will make the evil of the 20th century look like rookies. Now, let the media of the world mock me for telling you that there is a statue to Lucifer that has been erected last Saturday in Detroit, and Time magazine says it's really not that big of a deal. Let me tell you, it is a big deal. God will not be mocked on his own land by his own people who are covenant people. And at the same time, on Monday, they remove his words in Oklahoma in the middle of the night. Here's what I want to ask you, and I mean this sincerely. How can I hold your arms up? How can I help you? You will be the secret. You will be the ones that lead us out of this. It will be the individuals in their own homes and their own hometowns and their own school districts and their own courtyards, their own courthouses. It will be you that changes the world. Tell me how I can hold your arms up.